Hello, in this video we're going to have a look at how to structure our code when we're dealing with object-oriented programming. So we're going to be we're dealing with a hotel and we're going to be creating a class for the rooms. Okay, so we have our main and our if main equals main, then execute main. Okay, and at the top, before we start our proper work in the main class, we're going to define the class. Okay, so we're going to have a class room for the hotel rooms. Okay, we start with capitals, the name of the class, and we're going to have our constructor, our init method, and we're saying we need the room number to start a new instance, or to create a new instance of the class. And the attributes for this class are our number for room number, that takes that value of number, the type of the room, single or double, and the default is double. The rate for a weekday is 50, the default, and the rate for a weekend, and that should say rate, weekend is €100. Now we're gonna create a few instances of the class. So we say room1 equals, we call the class, remember the class is called room with capital R, room, and we're gonna give it the number as a string. So 001. Let's say we create another room, room2 equals an object of class room, and room number, oops, apologies, the room number is 002. We can print, we try to print just room 1, say what we're gonna get is what type of thing is room 1. So in this case, this is the output that we get. It's a room object. So what we have done is we have created two instances, two objects of class room. Now what we can, if we want to look inside those objects, we can look at the attributes. So when we put the dot, we get here a list of the different attributes. So let's say we want to say what's the type of this room. If we run it now, we won't see something that looks like this, the type of element, but we will see the actual type of room, in this case double. We can also create fancier printouts. So for example, if we say print room, our placeholder for string for the room number is a, and then the room type here, room. You see here what we're doing is reading the attributes, room1 dot number and room1 dot type, and again here we can read the two rates that we have for that room, and we use our placeholders for a float in this case with 2 decimal places, and the second float. So the first one would take the rate for the weekend, for a weekday, and the second one the rate for a weekend. If we run this, we get an error, and that is because I changed room number is or number, not number. We run it again, and this is what we get. Double is from this first printout, the type of room with no extra information, but now we have our better printouts that say room 001 is a double room, rates are €50 midweek and €100 weekend night. Okay. What else can we do? Well, we can overwrite the value of an attribute. We could say room2, the weekend rate, we have increased it, instead of the default €100, we're giving it a custom specific value for this room, which is €150. If we now run this and we change, so we look at room 2, room 2 and room 2, and we run it, we'll see the updated rate for the weekend displayed. Okay, what else can we do in our class definition? Well, we can define, remember these were attributes that we defined for our classroom. We can also define what are called methods. And in this case, I have a method here. This has to be inside the class, so I need to indent it. Okay, so if I look up, so we see this here is a method, which is a function within a class. It's part of classroom, and it's called, the name of the function, the method is called price, and it takes three parameters. The first one is the object itself. That's why we always need the self. Then it takes the number of weekdays and the number of weekend days. It calculates the price, multiplying the number of weekdays by the rate of that particular room for a weekday plus the number of weekend days times the rate for a weekend day, and it returns that value. So then we have to call it from the main. So we're going to need two variables for the number of weekdays and weekend days. And now we're going to call our printouts, where we're going to say, this over, price for room number. Remember, our number is the name of our attribute, and then room price, number of days during the week, and number of days weekend. This name is weekdays, and then the same for room number 2. And if we run this, we're gonna get from earlier room type. So room 1 type is double. Then from the earlier printout we get room 2 is a double room. Rates are €50 midweek and 150 weekend night. And then our two new printouts are these two, where we have price for room 001 for the given days, the 3 and the 2. And this value here has been calculated taking those two constants, the number of weekdays and number of weekend days. They are sent to the method. Okay, so notice that the way we call it is room 1, the name of the object of the instance, dot, then the method, and then whatever inputs that are required. So when we get here, self is room 1, number of weekdays is going to be our 3 here, number of days weekend is going to be 2. Then it does the calculation and it returns the value, which is in the first case €350, in the second case, in the case of the second room, 450. Okay, we see here these two print statements are basically the same. The only difference is that the instance that we're using, room 1 in the first case and room 2 in the second case. A common structure to deal with your instances is to create a list. Let's say we say hotel rooms equals a list where we have room 1 and room 2. And then instead of repeating the printout, what we're going to do is create a for loop for room. Remember that's a, well, maybe I'll change the name actually. I, that's a variable that we're deciding right now what it's called. So for I in hotel rooms is my list with all the rooms in the hotel, and then I only need the print statement once. In here it will go I now because I changed the name of the variable. So what this for loop is going to do is it's going to go into the list, read the first value. So I takes the value room 1, then room 1 dot room number or number. So it's going to say price room, then the room number for the first room. 4 given days is, and then it's gonna send the 2 variables, the number of days for the week, number of days for the weekend, send them to the method price for the instance I, which remember is room 1 in the first instance, and return the value, print it. Then the second time we go back into the loop, we look at room 2 and we do the same action, but we, instead of printing it twice, or imagine we have a list, we have 1,000 rooms, we don't want to have 1,000 print statements. We want to have everything on one single line, and then a for loop that is taking, it's repeating the same action for the different instances in that list. So let's say we run this, and we actually don't see a difference. We're getting exactly the same result, but we only have one print statement in this case here in the code, and we're getting 2 print statements, printouts here on the result, because we have 2 rooms. If we had a third room, then there'll be 3 lines here, and so on. So this is the basic structure, creating program with a class, with its attributes, its methods. In this case we only wrote 1, but it could be more than 1. So your attributes go into your constructor, then followed by your methods, and then we're creating instances. Usually it's quite handy to put your instances in lists. You could have hotel rooms, all the rooms. You could have another list for the ones that gets calculated for all the ones that are available at the moment. You could have another one for the rooms that are booked, and then we iterate over whatever list we're interested in, and we can query information about the instances of the class that are in each of the lists. Okay, so we'll follow with more examples. Bye.